So in the game of Petanque, there is a number of mistakes that new players make to the game. They think it's all just about throwing ball and getting close to a jack, but there's different things that you can do to improve your game and certainly your enjoyment of the game. And in this video, what I'm going to do is talk through some of just the basic mistakes that I see players make. Now, here's number one. I've just turned up to a brand new terrain in France. It's competition here tonight. Never played this terrain. Haven't got a clue about it. And this is where most brand new players or beginner players to the game, even some intermediate players, often get things wrong. What I like to do is a quick recce of any terrain before I throw a single ball on it. Now, what I'm looking for specifically, big rocks, big lumps, any problems that there might be in the terrain, such as with this one, we have a nice big tree. So I want to know, before I start playing tonight, what are the rules for this tree? Is it half a meter from the tree? Is the tree live and not dead? Are there any rules with regard to the leaves that give this lovely coverage for the tree? We have a couple of really quite nasty lumps and bumps. So I want to know how my bull are going to react on that. Now, it doesn't take too long to scope out a terrain. You can see here we have benches over in the corner. There's a nice bit of shade. There is areas where there is, as I say, the undulations, but also the rocks. And if I show you, for example, obviously these are on the terrain, but they're not part of the terrain, not the playing part anyway. But there are plenty of rocks like that, and I want to make sure that I've examined it, and it literally takes 5 minutes. Just walk around, look about, where is interesting, where's some lumps, okay, that's a bit different, not quite sure about that. You can feel things under your feet as well, like here. Very pudding type style. It's almost like a beach. But then if I move over here, it's much, much harder, much more compact. So I want to be able to have that in my head in advance. So that's tip number one. Scope out the terrain, check the different things. Tip number two. This is what a lot of new players to the game do. They get fixated on shiny object syndrome. The brand new ball, it's just come onto the market. The ATX, it's got 3 really good stars on it. It looks brilliant. Maybe it's a brand new manufacturer. Maybe their favorite player has just started playing with these balls. And they think, mistakenly, that if they swap balls around, keep hunting for different balls, different sizes, different styles, different styrations, different aspects to the ball, that their game will improve. But it doesn't. The ball doesn't do the work. The thing that does the work is the hand and the arm and the release. That is what makes a good ball player. Someone who works on their technique, practicing with purposeful practice, not just throwing junk ball around, and not flip-flopping and chopping and changing different sets of ball. Now, if you don't know what ball to buy, then you have a little problem. So the best thing you can do, find a local club, ask people to try their ball. Nobody will have a problem. You're not going to break their ball. You're not going to ruin them. You're not going to put any woo-woo on the ball so that they then don't play well afterwards. This is just a way for you to test out different sizes, different weights, different things, and play with them. Not just 3 or 4 sort of minutes. Say, can I borrow these balls for the day? They may well say, yeah, look, I'm using them today, but tomorrow they're yours. And then you can just go off and you can play around with them and you can see what is right for you. The third, number 3, mistake that I see in new players. They step onto the piste, full of enthusiasm, really determined. They want to win. They want to do well. They want to impress themselves, their wives, their girlfriends, their boyfriends, whatever it is. They want to play the best game that they can. But here's where this game is incredibly frustrating. If you haven't put enough deposits into the bull bank account, you're not entitled from the bull gods to make a withdrawal. What do I mean by all that? If you haven't put in sufficient purposeful practice, honing your game, learning how to do different things, learning why the top players do different things, learning good tactics, good strategies, not just closing your eyes or just focusing solely on the jack. And if you're not putting those deposits in, when it comes to the match game and you've got to carry a bull and you're not able to in your own mind, it often won't happen. Now, sometimes it will. But if you're not putting the deposits in, you can't expect to make the withdrawals. So that's number 3. Number 4, this is quite an interesting one. I hear an awful lot of people saying, well, all the best players play together. They don't have time for us lesser players. They don't put any effort into the game, and they're not explaining how they became great. Now, this is where my role as a coach, certainly on the internet, through videos like this, what I can do is I can help you, because I've spent the last 40 plus years analyzing and playing this game. So what I try to do is extract all of the goodness from good players. Now, I get this from observing, from watching. Now, what an awful lot of players don't do is they don't want to put that time in. I'm not saying you have to play for 40 years, but if you can just sit and watch, whether it's on YouTube or live in person, exactly what a player does, and then question in your own mind, have your own analysis. Why are they doing that? Why are they holding their ball in a particular way? Why are their fingers not spread like mine are? Why is their backswing so long when mine is so short? Why do they cup their arm like this? Why do they hold their ball like this before, this is especially the ties, before they actually play the ball? Questions that you can use to determine in your own mind, what is someone actually doing and why are they doing it? Now, if you don't understand, that's okay. You're perfectly within your rights. And honestly, it's a really good thing. Go up to the person afterwards and say, excuse me, I'm Kevin, Petanque coach. Can you please explain to me exactly what you did? Now, here's the paradox within this. The great players know what they're doing, but they don't necessarily know how to articulate what they're doing. They don't necessarily know how to explain it to a beginner or an intermediate player. Now, they can tell you, do this, hold your wrist here, cup your hand here, release it here, hold it gently, don't do any of these things, don't try and force the shot. But what does all of that mean? Now, you can only really get that through observation and then through dedicated, purposeful practice on your own. But if you're not able to actually observe, you certainly won't be able to absorb. Now, you can read as many books on Petanque and watch as many videos as you like, and all of these things are really, really good. But when you're actually in the circle, when you're actually doing the practice, if you haven't put the practice in, you won't get the results. So that's number 4. Now, number 5. This is kind of similar to number 4, but a little bit different. The great players, they all play together. They're always beating us. It's so unfair. We're so new to the game. All we want to do is enjoy ourselves. And we don't want to be so serious. Well, yeah, that's fine. But don't forget, Petanque is a sport. It is a game that people do take very, very seriously. And it's the only game that I can think of where you can turn up and you can register and you could be standing next to Dylan Rocher, former world champion. You could be standing on the other side next to Diego Rizzi, current world champion. They are registering for the game just the same as you. Now, they're not likely to play with you because they want to play with their own great players, because they're used to a certain level of achievement. They're used to a certain level of game. They're not going to really get that kind of game playing with beginners. So how can beginners access the best players? How can they access really good players, whether you're playing in the UK or in Germany or anywhere? There's a lot of melee tournaments. People just turn up, put their name in a hat, and they get drawn out, and you could be playing with a really, really good player. That's one form. The other form is just go up to the player that you admire, that you really like, that you want to emulate. Talk to them. Just say, look, would you play a tournament with me? Doesn't have to be anything big, but I'd really like to pick your brains throughout the day, before, after. What you'll find is the majority, almost all of the really good players will happily say that they will play a competition with you. Maybe they just say, look, all my tournaments are already booked up, but let's play this next practice game together. And you can pepper them with questions. What's the strategy behind that? Why did you play your ball that way? Why did you lift your ball in that way and it came down so well? And can you just talk me through that? Now, these are very, very good questions to extract gold and goodness from experienced players. So I hope that you've enjoyed this little synopsis of some of the biggest mistakes I see in players. If you want more, click this link over here. I'm sure you'll find some real gold there.